Welcome everybody, it's Lisa from Epic Yarn Gems. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make my Mask Extender 2.0. This is a little bit of a different pattern than I did before, and the reason I'm showing you this pattern is one, I've had a lot more practice, and two, I ran out of the larger buttons, so I wanted to create a pattern that used the smaller buttons. So the materials I used was the sugar and cream cotton yarn. It is a 4 medium weight yarn. I also used my 5mm hook, and then like I said, I had to use the smaller buttons because that's all I could find, and these are about 5/8 of an inch. That's easy for me to say, right? So I wanted to use these smaller buttons and to provide a pattern that actually worked well with the smaller buttons. And we are going to start with a slip knot, so make that any way that works best for you. And what we're going to do next is our chains, and we are going to do 15 chains. So as we make these chains, you want to not make them too tight because you are going to have to go back into them. But again, you don't want to make them too loose because then they'll be a little too floppy. So I guess like the Three Bears, you want to make them just right. So as we finish up these chain 15s, the next thing that you're going to do, you can see that they stretch out pretty nice. It is a cotton yarn, so there really isn't a lot of stretch in it. So you're going to want to make it the length that works best for you. Then you are going to go into the second chain from the hook. And from here, what we'll be doing is in that second chain from the hook is we'll be doing 2 single crochets in that same chain. So there was one, and then we are going to do one more. And as we continue to work, what we're going to do is we are going to go down this side of the chain, and we're going to do a single crochet in each of those chains all the way until we get to the very last chain. And we're coming up on that last chain, and that is also where we had done our slip knot. So you do have that tail there, so don't pay much mind to it and just go around it, and you put those 3 single crochets in there. And what this is doing is it's making the end a little bit rounded. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go down the other side of our foundation chain. So you can see right in there is where we're going to put our stitch. So we're going to go under that other side of the chain, and we're going to do an entire row of single crochets. In my first pattern that I did for this, which to be very honest, I still really like, I just ran out of the buttons, that I did not do this type of stitch where you went down the other side of the chain. I'm not very good at it. This is something similar to what you would do for making a baby booty. I have made one pair of baby booties. It took me about 50 tries. I really wasn't happy with them, how they ended. So I don't really use this type of stitch very often. I did use it in the holly for my slippers, but like I said, not something that I really am good at doing. So I really don't use it that often. But you know, practice makes perfect. So we're going to use it in this Mask Extender 2.0. So as we're coming upon the end, you want to make sure that you get into each of those chains, the other side of those chains. So here, you know, make sure you get this very last one, go right in there, and then as you finish up, you have like a bigger opening here, and this is where you are going to start your next round. So you're going to go right into the center of where that hole is, and you are going to do 3 single crochets into that opening. And like I said at the other end, this is what makes that roundedness for the mask extender. And then we're going to go back down the other side. The one thing that I really liked in the previous pattern that I did was doing like an extended single crochet. It made the ear extender pretty sturdy, and I wasn't too concerned with it being floppy or not holding its shape. So that's exactly what we're doing here. We're going right into the center of that chain, that in between those two sides, and we are just doing straight single crochets. And as you can see, it is making a nice tight stitch. So we're going to finish that up as we get to the very end. And once we get down to the very end, we are going to do the same pattern again, which is in the last stitch, doing that single crochet 3 times in the end to make that roundedness at the very end. So as we're finishing up here, like I said, 3 single crochets, and then we're going to go around the horn and we're going to go back down the other side with that extended single crochet, if you want to call it that. And we are going to go into that exact same space that we did when we went up the row. So here we are finishing up our 3 single crochets, and we are going to go into the center of where that chain is. So you can see that we're going right into the exact same place that we did when we went down the row, and we are doing single crochets. And like I said, it looks like a extended single crochet, so just keep going until you get to the very end. And then when you're at the very end, we're just going to do a plain old slip stitch join like we would do on many of our other projects. So as we're finishing up here, we're putting that last single crochet in, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go into the top of this very end and do a slip stitch join. After we do that, we're just going to tie off, or actually not tie off, we're going to pull the yarn through and we're going to weave in our ends. Do that any way that works best for you. It's one of my least favorite things to do, but they do need to be woven in. So like I said, do that any way that works best for you. Just so you know, with the 15 stitches in the 5mm hook, the length of this mask extender was right between 4.5 and 5 inches long. So if you want to make it longer or shorter, you would just increase or decrease the number of chains that you start with. And then last but not least, you're going to put your buttons on both ends. Like I said, these are 5/8 of an inch in size, so they're just the right size for the mask extender that I have made here. So sew on your buttons whatever works best for you. Like I said in my last video, this is the way that I learned in home ec, so it works for me, but if it doesn't work for you, just as long as they're secure, it'll be fine. Thank you for taking time out of your day today to join me. I really do appreciate the support. If you would, share out the video, give it a thumbs up, leave me some comments. Also, if you are not a subscriber, please consider subscribing to Epic Yarn Gems, hitting that little bell so you get notified when I post new videos. Again, thank you for joining me, and stay safe and healthy. As always, peace, love, and happiness. Take care.